Hello and welcome to the EmilTech Show, a platform that is dedicated to showcasing, celebrating, and championing technological brilliance from every corner of Africa. Our mantra is Africa is coding the future, and we believe if Africa is coding the future, Africa must tell its story. Today we're joined by one of the tech founders in Africa who are shaping the tech landscape. Magtech Solutions. So we're here. We want to tell the African story the African way. So without further ado, allow me invite our guest to say hi to us and introduce himself briefly.
Thank you very much, Emily, for having us. We really take this opportunity to appreciate your show for being able to showcase the African talents because they are there, African innovations because there are many of us that are there, but we've not been able to have a chance to showcase what we have. Yeah. Thank you very much, and I appreciate it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Murithi Magiri. Murithi Magiri. This is pure African. Now, Murithi, before we start, I would really want us to talk about the human part of Magtech Solutions. That is, before we talk technology, before we talk about Magtech Solutions, before we talk about the business and the tech that we are here for today, I really want you to talk to us. Tell us a little bit about you. Where were you born? How was your childhood like? Because people will relate to that.
That's pretty interesting because my journey started way back in my tech journey. Before I go to my tech journey, let me start with my personal journey. I was born and brought up in Meru. That's some 290 kilometers or 270 kilometers from Nairobi. So it's not far off, just on the slopes of Mount Kenya. Yeah, so I went to primary school there. Joined high school. Just immediately after that, I was my first impression of my first intention of the world was to become a priest. So I basically wanted to join a seminary, and that was the first school that called me. But with a lot of peer influence, I changed and went to a different high school. After that, before university life, of course, we started off. I was a bit ambitious, and I joined Kenya School of Monetary Studies, and that's where my tech journey started. Then I basically have my computing background, my bachelor's degree in computing from Greenwich University. I have a couple of vendor certifications as well. I have done accounting. I have some accounting background. And in terms of my work experience, I started off first as a support engineer in an ISP way back in the year 2000. Actually, when you had the millennium back, that's when I started my IT journey. Then after that, I went to the government. And I was working as an IT manager there until about after post-election violence around there 2009. And that's when Magtech Solutions came alive because from the outset, I believe there was a gap in the market. And that's a gap that I came to fill in. And I believe I positioned myself correctly. Since that time, I've never looked backwards, I've never regretted. Yeah, so that's typically my journey, and we'll be able to talk some more as we continue. Yeah.
Wow, let me ask you, just directly.
Yes.
How was it connected to all this?
First of all, is because there was a strain, and there was a bit of a shift in terms of where I was working at that particular time. Not really connected to IT, but to my career and the organization I was working with, and a couple of things that were coming up in the national platform at that time. So that's when I left government employment to come to the private sector, and that's where I started my company from that time. Yes, around 2009, basically.
Wow. Yeah. So, Mr. Murithi.
Yes, please.
Every transformative company begins from a pain point or a problem that you see is more often being ignored, and you see the need of having a solution to it in Africa or in tech. Yeah. Now, let me ask you, what was that defining moment?
My defining moment,
Mhm.
actually, that's a very good question because I'll never have really started Magtech without a problem that I was coming to solve. I believed there was a problem that needs to be fixed,
Yes.
and I was coming to solve that one.
Yes.
And just like I've said, I've never looked back because it was a genuine concern. It's still alive today. When I was working for the ISP, I used to, because as a support engineer, you get to support so many clients, and you have this phone conversation. Sometimes you're sent to the client's workstation, and you find that those clients, they either don't have enough IT skills or IT resources rather, or at another point also the IT resources are not skilled enough, or they cannot, even their budget will not allow them to scale that IT department. So I believed I could come in with a solution that will be able to offer those companies an opportunity for them to outsource those IT services to a particular entity that is able to sort out their IT issues for them to now concentrate on their core business, which is running their business.
Was it hard to make those reforms while you were still working?
Yes, it was a bit difficult. Remember, I've moved from the private sector.
Yes.
Yeah, I was working for an ISP basically, and you see, this is a very fast-paced organization. And then you go to the government, and that was the outset where, even that time the government was not talking about things about digitization rather. It was talking about just computerizing, just having computers and things like that. So I felt like at that time when I was working, I was being also underutilized. Yeah, because I was pretty ambitious and I could see the gaps in the market. So that's how I thought, let me come out and fill this gap. Yeah, it's a gap that is still there, and we are right there trying to,
That's very, very, very interesting. Now, beginning a company or starting a company in Africa has its own unique challenges. It's not like starting one in Europe or America or, So what are some of the challenges that you faced as a new founder of Magtech Solutions now?
I would say there are a couple of challenges, very many
Tell us
challenges. One of the challenges that would come up that has actually the government has been able to solve now was the issue of getting to the process of business registration and getting to the market. That was a big hurdle at that time, because that time the government, the Attorney General chambers were not computerized. So everything was manual. So even registering the company, searching for a name and all that process was completely, it was very cumbersome and loaded with a lot of, it was very corrupt process. It had so many bottlenecks.
How long would it take for one to register a company back then?
Not less than 21 days for such alone. It will take another 30 days for you to register or something like that. So the whole process will take like 3 months. If you're street savvy, it will take 3 months. So you can imagine someone else who is coming from probably in the rural areas, who is not as street savvy as someone else in Nairobi. That process would have taken longer.
I think I'm curious of something. How are you able to search if you're using just the manual method?
All right.
Because now,
You've come up. You've come into the business when the ground is leveled, and the process of getting to business is a bit easier now. So what used to happen that time with a manual system, you fill up a manual paper at the registrar's office, and you'll fill in like 3 names, all right? So then you pay for it. Then you go. then you're given like, I think, 14 days for you to come back physically to Attorney General Chambers. You know where it is. So just next to the office of the president. So you'll come there manually to check through. Now you go through the log to find out whether your name is true. So sometimes you get that name has been already taken. So you go through the process again. You start the process again. Then you come back. So it was a very tedious process that has been made easy by technology. And that's I'm glad that you're talking about tech now, because tech has enabled that business process to be more efficient and to be much faster and responsive. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Now, you can also tell us about the other challenges, because I know there are many. Let's talk about them first.
Yes.
Before we go to
The other challenge was, of course, capital. Everyone talks about capital.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're coming to business and you're expected to have an office. You don't have clients yet. There are so many challenges in terms of setting up a business, because you really need money to have a physical presence. You need to hire staff. You need to have everything in place. So capital was one of the problem, because you actually at that time also getting loans was also a bit difficult, because of course technology has come to ease that burden that you used to have. So that was another problem. Another challenge was, of course, going to the market as well. How do you market? Right now technology enables going to market and makes that process a bit easy, because you have different fronts of marketing. You have social media. You have a couple of other. You have emails that you can send, email marketing and all that. At that time, the entry level to that space was a bit of a problem. So going to market was a big challenge as well. Yeah.
triumphed.
Yes, but we managed.
Here we are.
Here we are. Yes.
Now, what are some of the challenges that only African founders experience? Like, you feel this is not for maybe for people starting companies or starting startups far away, maybe in the West. What are those challenges that you feel only Africans can face this?
That's an interesting challenge, an interesting question. And I would like to look at it this way. In African markets, the challenge a founder will get is access to capital. That would be a very it's a big challenge for us, because you away from our market. Other markets have venture capitalists who can actually look at your idea and finance it. So financing becomes a problem for us as African founders, because you don't have that ready. Access to capital becomes a challenge. But in other markets, that might not be a big challenge as well. Yeah. Also in African markets, the other challenge would be the size of the market or the companies that you're marketing to. Probably the kind of target market is wider. So here you're dealing with a bit of a smaller size of a market than the other market.
Yes,
so that's
trying to convince people basically
yes.
about this thing that you're starting, and most of them do not really believe.
Yes. It's the other thing. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's the word I was looking for. The adoption of technology. Because in the other market, adoption is much faster and easier. Here it's been sort of slower. So you're talking Greek to someone else, and it's not being really appreciated at that time. So for me to sell, for instance, what I was going to market to sell in another market would have been much easier in there than here, because here I'm trying to penetrate somewhere where people have not adopted IT that much. Yes.
I think there is also one thing that I've noticed. Do you feel Africans believe westernized solution more than they believe local solutions?